Hey guys, welcome back to Harmon Homestead. This morning it's bright and early. I want to show you our main garden. We call this our pasture garden. It's a pasture in front of our house that we plowed up last year for the first time to plant in, and we are back at it this year. So everything has been planted and done. Starting from the right side over here, everything is out in rows, and we planted most of this in seed. We have 4 rows of corn, peaches and cream corn, and then we have 2 rows of cowpeas, pink-eyed purple hull peas, 2 rows of bush beans, and then we're going to have 2 rows of okra. All that's been planted. And then on the far left side, I planted tomato transplants 2 days ago with a few eggplant and bell pepper. And then the day that I planted all of the seed, I went ahead and planted all of these transplants. Guys, I want to show you something. Look at this tomato transplant here. See the yellowing leaves? This is how it looked inside. I started these from seed indoors February the 17th. And they were root bound. They just needed to go outside. So planted these, and they have gotten deep green on the very top leaves in the past day. I mean, they are doing superb. You wouldn't think that you could be able to plant a tomato in a pasture, and this is not the most ideal dirt. But guys, last year we had more tomatoes than we knew what to do with. That was the one thing the deer did not bother. We had some of the green hornworms, but that was it. Otherwise, I mean, the tomatoes, it works. We've got Eva Purple Ball, Everglades, Boxcar Willie, and Beefsteak, I believe. So we've got several varieties. The only reason we're doing that is to see which ones work for us. Last year we did the Early Girl, and it was phenomenal. So over on this side, we have Smooth Criminal Straight Neck Squash, and it's a vertical squash. It grows vertically. And I mean, you can tell on these, it's greening up on the top. It's just some things just needs to get in the dirt. And I noticed one little thing here. Let's see if I can find it. See the deep green? And you can tell where it was yellow. I mean, look at the tomatoes. You can obviously tell where they are greening on up. Let's see. There we go. I want you to see this. I started these March the 26th inside. Do you see it? Now, he's not opened up his bloom yet, but he's already got a squash. And supposedly they'll grow off this main stem here. So he's a little bit weak to be having that squash. I may have to pinch it on off, but we're going to see what happens. I was just so glad to see that. And then we have Dixie Hybrid. And I mean, the tomatoes are just alongside everything. Scallop squash. A lot of this is just an experiment to see what is growing. You can see our tomatoes over here. And then zucchini. I believe right here, zucchini. So he's looking good, looking real good. And then I tried Cherokee Bush pumpkins. These are a smaller pumpkin. I planted all of these in hills to see. We have several rows of those. The tomatoes are continuing. And then I also tried cucumbers. I'm going to try to let them sprawl along the ground and just see what happens. That was really just a big experiment. We'll see. If I need to trellis them, I will. But see, all of my rows are over here where the okra and whatnot will grow. So hopefully this will pan out. But I've already got some runners on my cucumbers, so I think this will do okay. And then the tomatoes stop here, and then I tried a few banana pepper. We've got bell pepper and eggplant. These cucumbers are Cadillacing down here. I mean, he's looking real good. Every bit of this was started from seed inside. There's bell pepper. I've got eggplants all the way down. I know my shadow's in the camera. And then also down here, the last little bit, so I've got corn on the very far side over there. I did 7 smaller rows of corn. So I'll have corn on one end and corn on the other, kind of just blocking the whole garden in. It's an experiment. It stays wetter on this side because this spot is not exactly flat. Rainwater runs this way. So I want to see where the corn does better, where it stays more moist, or over there where it gets a little bit more sun, but it is drier. So we'll just see. But guys, I am pretty proud with all of that to be started inside. It's a lot of work, and this is just one in-ground garden we've got. I'll walk back up to the house and show you our raised beds and containers, what we've got going. All right, so we're back at the house, and this is my first little section of the $1 Dollar Tree mop buckets, and this year I'm going to try okra in them. If you've never seen an okra seed, that's what they look like. It looks almost like just a little weed growing in the grass. So if you see these come up in your garden, do not pull them. Know what to look for. It just looks it can look very deceiving. But we've got okra coming up in these, and that's looking great. So we've got that. And then moving on, in my stackable planters, I am experimenting and trying contender bush beans. 1 bean per pocket. And mostly I've had good germination. I keep turning the planters so they'll get sun each day. That's the only thing. One side will not get as much sun as the other. So you have to turn these, but I mean, they're looking good so far. So I'm so excited to see if we have bush beans in these. So we've got two of those. We've got some sweet banana pepper in buckets. And then I've got one little tomato here that's just not doing well. That's a geranium kiss tomato, but the rest look great. We've got tons of those. Those are in hanging baskets, but they're not, I just sat them on the deck with the wire baskets up under for support. There again, you can see the green leaves in the center. Over here, I planted these in a video, I think 3 weeks ago. These have monstered out. I mean, he's looking a little spindly. But look at this one. I mean, look in the center. If you can see, we've got blooms already there. They've not opened up yet, but guys, that's what makes you want to do this. I mean, just take a look at that tomato plant. That will inspire you. And then you'll have something like this where it's just not going to make it. He's still got a little green growth, so I'm not going to pull him up just quite yet. But, I mean, that's why I do what I do. I've got some more sweet banana pepper. We had a late frost here 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. And I covered up everything I could, but some of it still got a little bit. But he's got green growth in the center, so I'm going to leave him. We've got eggplants. I mean, we've got tons of stuff here. I want to show you this. This is the only English peas we had that actually even made. There's little peas. You can see in the top right-hand corner by the bloom. Obviously, I didn't know this, but the pea vine will start to die back at the bottom when the peas get ready. So it was just kind of an experiment. I left these just to see what would happen. So, hey, we're going to see and maybe save some seed from the pods. But these were Little Marvel green peas, so we'll try it again next year. We've got cucumbers in buckets. These have got runners already. The plan is to let them kind of go up the deck railing here. And these are looking great. And then on down the deck, everything, y'all look at all these containers. We've got Savoy cabbage. We've got broccoli. We've got mainly cauliflower. Then starts contender bush beans. I planted 3 to a bucket. Now I've got to thin some of these out. But, I mean, look at that. Those were planted 2 weeks ago. I've got a few cucumbers that are just iffy. I've had the worst trouble with cucumbers this year, starting them inside. It may be where you have to start them from seed in the ground. I've got squash, Dixie hybrid, scallop. I've got 3 zucchinis. And then on over here, we've got Scarlet Runner pole beans. These were planted exactly 2 weeks ago. Look at that. I mean, look at that. All of the mop buckets are the Scarlet Runners. And then these 6 blue buckets are our asparagus beans. Now a lot of this I've got to thin out, but I'm gonna wait till it gets just a little bit bigger. And then we have our main raised bed. This was planted 2 weeks ago. I've got a row of tomato transplants. I've lost one. He's probably the second weakest. But everything else, look at the deep green. I mean, coming on strong, guys. They have grown a lot since I've put these in the ground. So, looking good. Then I've got a row of 3 zucchini hills, looking really good. Then we've got straight neck squash. We've got bell pepper, eggplant. But all of these little transplants have really came leaps and bounds, guys. They really have. I mean, they came out looking puny. I barely hardened them off. And then, now look, everything started indoors from seed. Now, then we have a row of contender bush beans. And we're going to thin that out probably next week. But you can see, these came up probably 4 days ago. And then I just noticed we've got 2 rows of okra. These have just started to come up. Let me see if I can. Like I said, it's very hard to tell the okra until it gets on up a little bit more size. You can see it in this other row better over here. But it's very hard to tell. Now, we have not tilled the last part yet. That's where our pole beans are going to go. So that's why it looks a little weeded over there. But you can see the okra everywhere. And I'm not going to hoe this out until the okra gets on up a little bit bigger, because I sure don't want to take out my little seedlings. But you can tell better in that other row. So that's what we've got. We've got tons of food, tons of plants. We're going to see what happens. We'll see you next time on Harmon Homestead.